We're back. Raps on TV. Happy New Year. Big 2017 in the world of boxing. And we're back to discuss all the best things for 2018. I'm here with a co-host, man like Tom.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, and to yourself.
You had a good one?
Bit too much eating. But,
That's the way,
New
though.
Year and all that rubbish.
Come on, that's the
we're
cliche.
on a regime now.
It's all the cliches. Too much eating. We change our lives. Veganary, whatever they want to call it now. But
keep the alcohol, but drop the food now.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I think is going to remain is the quality of boxing. So let's get into that a little bit. In terms of just talking about what we're going to talk about this evening. But actually, I've got to go back, give a big shout out to everyone that supported us last year. Give a shout out to guys like Tom Lyons as well, Paul, all those guys that have supported us for 2017. Looking forward to another big 2018. More fights, more banter, more arguments over who's really the king of boxing. But let's get into it. So what's your thoughts? What are you looking forward to? In fact, what did you enjoy about 2017 in terms of boxing, Tom?
When we look back on 2017, I mean, I don't know what fight stands out for you the most, but I know the thing that in 5 years' time, we all forget about it quite quickly. It's quite a short-term memory sport, but I think that Joshua Klitschko fight, that's going to last a long time. And when I have kids, they'll be talking about that fight, how we talk about the historic heavyweight fights today. Yeah. So I think that's something to remember. I think there was a load of good fights, though, that obviously didn't get as much attention. I thought the Rungvisai Gonzalez first fight was really good, really close.
That's what happens when there's controversy as well. Yeah. It kind of slips under the radar a little bit because it doesn't get its respect. Yeah. In terms of
and on that topic, obviously, we had Golovkin Canelo, which obviously was overshadowed. Some people didn't think he lived up to it. I know that when I was watching that, I could not look away for a second. I was so into that
fight. He lived up to it.
I thought it was a great fight.
Yeah, I think, and I just want to go back on the Joshua Klitschko. I think you're right. Even though Joshua is a big star now, and obviously there's the return of Fury and Wilder's talking a lot. I think actually, we have to give him his credit to say that was a huge fight. It was a huge challenge, and he took it on. And
it's back and forth,
and it was back and forth. It was entertaining, and it was entertaining in a fat arena. I mean, come on, 90,000. Let's be real.
And there was no sort of bad blood between them as well, and it still was a massive spectacle just because of the boxers.
Exactly. So I agree with you on that. I think one of my fights that goes on the list, probably because it's the same day Arsenal won the FA Cup, was Spence and Brook. For me, I think that went under the radar.
That was a great fight.
I think a lot of people believed in Brook. I have to say I've believed in Spence. I believe he's one of the top welterweights out there, and I felt he had Kell Brook's number. And I think, you touched upon short-term memories, and I think a lot of people were saying things, but I was, when you're hearing people speaking, you're like, but are you really watching the sport? And I felt, all the attributes people felt Brook had, I didn't think they would trump Spence in terms of the reach, the strength, and the IQ.
But in Brook's defense, I do think he started well in that fight.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
When you think about how sort of Spence, he basically just sort of dismantled him. He just battered him down towards the end of that fight. So you sort of forget that at the start. Brook was having success. He was up after probably the first half of the fight. They were probably level because Spence was coming back into it. That's first 3 rounds, maybe, Brook was definitely the stronger fighter.
Definitely in the fight. Yeah. But I think, we've seen that in the past. You can be in the fight. It doesn't mean you're going to win the fight.
And that was a massive step up for Spence, who
and that's
I personally think is the strongest at 147. But Terence Crawford.
I mean, you can't rule him out, but we are talking about that basic theory of a good beat man. A big man will always be a good little man, and no matter what. I think
Terence Crawford, he could be an exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt. I'm not, and that shows you the tension in boxing, because we could already debate that. We could change that, and those guys probably have fights.
That's a fight that I hope that will inevitably happen.
But I think next,
not for a while, because they're on the separate networks, aren't they?
Exactly, and I think you can see what Aram's going to do with Crawford, rightfully so, and PBC should try to do something with Spence on that side.
At least, hopefully, maybe at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, we should get the Spence Thurman fight, being both on the same network.
And that's this is what I'm loving again, because you're talking about Spence Thurman. I wasn't even talking about that. I'm even talking about your Horns. I think Horn versus Crawford is an interesting fight, because I think Horn doesn't get his respect, probably rightfully so, because his first defense wasn't of the right caliber. Let's be honest. No. If Pacquiao was fighting Gary Cochran, we would have said pardon.
Yeah.
So I think that's where he's let himself down. But I do think, a lot of people on the night said that, he was a robbery. To me, I felt he beat Pacquiao, and I was looking at that fight the same way I watched the Marquez fight.
It was a very close fight.
It was a close fight, but we think it was close because we expected Pacquiao to wipe the floor with him. But for me, I felt, in my opinion, Horn got the decision there. So I want to see what he can do. Again, that's a huge test for Crawford. IQ, he wipes the floor with him. But again, it's the power,
brute
it's the
strength, isn't it? Yeah. But
can that get it?
I
Can that go in his
think
fight? Probably not.
Crawford-
I agree.
I think he'll outbox him, and he might even break him down. I think we've seen Crawford get rough, and we've seen him get rough before, obviously at much lower weight.
Yeah.
But I think that he'll rise to the challenge.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that he's probably the best fighter, and him and Lomachenko are the most skilled. I'm not saying it's the pound for pound number one, but I would say they're the two most
what about
skilled.
Mikey Garcia? You don't think he's a skilled fighter?
No, I think. Crawford's obviously a bit heavier than him. Crawford beat Mikey Garcia in the amateurs. I think.
And I'm not talking about them opponents. I'm talking about quickly switching subject. Say skilled fighters that are out there we can watch. I think Garcia's.
I think
there,
Garcia's a great fighter. I don't think he's on the same level as Crawford and Lomachenko.
Okay, I would say Garcia's up there. In my opinion, Garcia's up there. I've seen Garcia
he's up there
before he took this
but
hiatus.
I just don't think he's quite there.
And I have to say, before he took this hiatus, I felt, this guy's good. But you've seen him come back, and I've been impressed.
Yeah.
And I think he's one of those fighters that he can put the pressure on you. And I think, for me, I respect that for him. I definitely agree why you would say Lomachenko. Would you say Crawford's had the same type of performances as Lomachenko? I would say no, because Crawford's been in some good scraps. Where he hasn't looked like he's just absolutely obliterated the opponent. So Lomachenko would say, you could say, is he on his own? Yes, but
probably is on his own.
That's what I mean.
But
how does
Crawford
it? But that's what I'm saying. He's still. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. That's what 2018 is going to bring. That's what I mean. Time will tell, and especially if he fights Linares, because again, it's a big fight.
Yeah.
But
who do you favour in that fight?
I favour Garcia.
Yeah, me too. I think Garcia probably knocked him out.
Yeah,
Linares. Linares has been. Linares has actually been beaten before. He's had 46 fights or something. He's nearing the end of his career.
That's what I mean. But he's strong, and I think he's just got that IQ that's better than a few of the last opponents, the Mitchells.
Yeah, and you think when it's the difference between someone like Crolla and Garcia is
huge, really, isn't it? Yeah, and that's the thing. So that's a good point. And I think we're talking about skilled boxers. I think a guy that probably ended 2017 with the potential in his hands for 2018 is Billy Joe Saunders.
Definitely.
I would say.
Yeah.
I feel we're talking about skill and outwitting opponents and not getting hit. And I think his display against Lemieux, I didn't see that at all. And it's totally kind of changed my mind on what he could do in boxing with time and being on his side. So I think he's got a lot of potential.
There's a bad perception about Billy Joe Saunders because of some of his antics outside of the ring, but I think he proved a lot. And
not even that. I think the Russian. If he's being honest with himself, I think the performance against that Russian
Akavov,
guy,
that was poor. He was lucky to get the decision there.
Right, and he wasn't in shape or anything. So I think
it was
should
quite
expect
similar to the Gale's performance against Truex. Actually,
yeah, exactly. It was that complacency. So listen, anyway, we know the lines are out. We missed you guys. Going to open up the lines again. It's been a while. You see that Tom's dusting off the cobwebs. Like we ain't been back in a while. So going out to 985. You know what it is. It's 2018. 985. Who's this?
This is Daniel Happy. How you doing, fellas?
How you doing, How you doing, Daniel? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all the crew, all the Raps on TV crew. Wishing you all the best for this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and to you.
Same to you, bro.
Last year was good for you guys. So this year, just crack on and just smash it like you did last year, boys.
Yeah, love
Let's
it.
have it.
Love it. So listen, mate, what are you looking forward to? Tell us either what you are looking forward to in 2018 or what you enjoyed in 2017 from the world of boxing.
Well, I think there's two performances I loved in 2017. That was Linares against Crolla.
Yeah.
That was a masterclass.
Nice. Yeah.
And obviously Billy Joe Saunders.
Your man.
Weeks ago. which, well, I'd hate to say I told you so, but we'll just move on from that. Basically, that's so. That's the two performances I enjoyed. But there was a lot of good boxing right throughout 2017. I'm just looking forward to 2018. There's going to be some cracking fights. So,
love it.
Boxing's in a healthy state at the moment.
Love it. And D, I've got to say, I'm going to find the show where you were, to be fair, I'll say it, you were talking in high regard about Billy Joe Saunders, and you even said he could beat Golovkin. And I think I'm sure myself and Inan, we probably laughed thinking, no way. So listen, you're going to be the first. I told you so. Let's hope that you get that for 2018, and we'll play that back on the show. But I appreciate the support.
All right, no problem. No problem.
Take it easy, bro.
Cheers, mate.
All right, take care, guys.
Take care.
All the best for 2018.
Cheers. Same to you, mate. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. All right, bye.
Right, and going out to 488. 488.
Hey, Kojo. Hi, Tom. It's Dave Johar from Punch Out Boxing and the Boxing Voice.
How you
How
doing,
are
Dave?
good to
Happy
hear
New
from you,
Year,
Dave.
mate.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Sorry, apologies. I've been meaning to ring and just been really busy with our projects and also with work, and it's been a nightmare.
No problem. We appreciate the
What a year
support,
last
mate.
year. Yeah, absolutely. What a year last year. One of my best fights of last year was Badu Jack versus James DeGale. What a way to start the year.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Absolutely
Cracker.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I actually had him winning, apart from the knockdown. Had he not been knocked down, I think he probably nicked it, to be fair. I'm probably going to get a lot of abuse for that, but I think he switches off after 6 rounds, doesn't he, bless him? I don't know what happens. So talented. The Hay versus Bellew fight, what a shocker.
Yeah.
We just had so many standout moments last year, didn't we? Billy Joe Saunders, an amazing masterclass against David Lemieux. And you know what? Your last caller, I can see where he's coming from. He could potentially beat Golovkin. I can see that happening. So many highlights, guys. It was a great year for boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And I mean,
Who was your fighter of the year for 2017?
Fighter of the year.
Yeah.
I liked Rung Vanasai. Let me just see if I'm pronouncing that right. Two KOs against Gonzalez.
Yeah.
That was good. For me, though, on a personal level, I just like the journey of Anthony Joshua. For me, I think he was my fighter of the year. Just that 90,000 at Wembley, just in the manner in which he did it. I know Tyson Fury was a bit more decisive in the way he disposed of Klitschko, but the way that Anthony Joshua got back down, it was a classic Rocky story. You know, we've all heard that cliche. It was what got casuals back into it. But for me, it's either Rung Vanasai or Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, it's just a shame. Obviously, we met at that Joshua Pulev press conference. It's a shame that fight didn't go ahead, because then it's his year. I mean, he's my fight of the year for 2017 too, but it was slightly tarnished by the whole Takam 2 weeks, Takam taking him a long way, controversial stoppage.
I think it's a fair point, actually, to say that. I think, you know, like, again, I think that we've ended the year with that note of the Takam and maybe him not winning the Sports Personality of the Year. So it feels a bit negative, but you're right. There is more than enough sort of reasons to say why he should be fighter of the year. I mean, the achievement, I mean, we can all kind of say, do you remember what you were doing when Joshua beat Klitschko? Do you see what I mean? And that's a big thing to say in life anyway. So I definitely hear what you're saying, Dave. I definitely hear that.
Absolutely. It's like, you know, I can actually say that last year was a year where people in the street were talking about boxing, people that don't watch the sport and not, you know, affiliated it as knee deep as you and I are, and Tom, but it was good to see people on the trains and on, you know, bus stations talking about Joshua, and it's good. This year is only going to get bigger.
So let me ask you on that, actually. So it's a year later. Sorry to cut you, a quick one. A year later, we now have Tony Bellew versus David Hay, with Tony Bellew being in the winner in the first fight. How do you call this second one, or the rematch?
It's very tricky. I think I can see Tony Bellew possibly taking it. However, that victory was maybe slightly tarnished because a lot of people are saying, look, David Hay was injured, so it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was stained. It wasn't tarnished. It was stained, wasn't it? I mean.
But you got to get in there and face them.
Hay was winning the rounds up until the injury. Even though he looked poor, he was winning the rounds. He was winning the rounds. I
agree, but he wasn't hurting him, which I felt for me. Remember, like, we interviewed Hay leading up to that, and the way he was adamant he was gonna destroy Bellew. To not see that happening was immediately like. Do you see what I mean? It's like
you could tell from the first round that his whole timing was off. I mean, he's an old fighter, isn't he, at the moment? Well,
and what do you think?
I think that I think it's impossible to say who's going to win.
So carry on, Dave.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, he's battle worn. I think how much more, you know, damage can his body take? He looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong. If it was a looks contest, not based on damage to the body. He'd come out top. But how much more can he take? Is this his last year? He said on Instagram the other day that this would be his last his last roll at the dice as a fighter, possibly. It all depends on May the 5th. Has that shoulder healed fully?
Yeah.
Has he still got the confidence? He's still saying he's going to knock him out. He's still going for the KO. Let's just hope we're in for a good one on that one.
Yeah, definitely. So anything else you're looking forward to in 2018?
Looking forward to see what this announcement is with Amir Khan. Rumours it's Adrian Broner. Have you guys heard this as well?
The thing is, I think everyone's heard it. There's so much rumours about it. I don't even think it's true.
I think that the announcement will be something to do with either a TV contract or a promotional contract, won't it? But
so I'm trying to find this picture because I saw a picture of Adrian Broner on Instagram. Now it doesn't mean much, but it seems like it was about 3 days ago, and his foot is in like a protective cast. Now it doesn't mean much. On the 2nd of January, he's taken a picture, and his foot is in a protective cast. Now, of course, it can heal. They may announce the fight for June, July, but I don't know. I just feel with Khan, this is a business move, and Broner's the right name that gives him a bit of credibility.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'd watch that fight.
We'd
We'd
watch
all
that
watch
fight.
fight.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I don't. Even if if there's rumors around it and he does something else, I think he put his name. We're talking about Khan again.
yeah.
So he's
I mean,
done.
do you want to see Khan against Gary Corcoran or Khan against Adrian Broner?
I mean, unless it's Khan Brook, which we know it's not going to be.
It definitely won't be. Yeah.
So So listen, Dave, thanks for calling in. We're going to leave you to it. But again, appreciate your support, and you always know any support we can give you, we're happy to do so.
Likewise, guys. I'll catch up with you soon on an event coming up.
Exactly,
Cheers.
definitely. Probably
See you soon, man.
All right, see you soon.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
So we're going out to 251. 251. The floor is yours. It's 2018. Step up. Hello.
Yo, what's up? Guys, how you doing, Kojo?
Yes. Dwayne, how you doing, my
How
man?
you
Happy
doing,
New
man?
Year. Below the Belt TV, doing
Happy
big
New Year
things.
to
I
you,
like
man.
it.
No, I'm trying, man.
Not trying, bro. Not trying. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. All that good stuff. What you been at? Tell the guys a little bit about what you guys been doing, and then we'll kick into some boxing.
Yeah, well, I guess we've been working really, really hard. Like, kind of hit the... You know when you're, like, running a sprint and you hit the corner?
Yeah.
You just kind of come out onto the straight?
Yeah, you're hitting
Yeah,
the
I like
straight.
that.
That's how the year's ended now. So it feels good now. I mean, we've got a lot of content there. Got a lot of handshakes and friends and so on and so forth that we made. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of the channel as it's progressing into the new year.
Nice.
Below the Belt TV all day long, man. Perhaps on TV.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. Good to get that more collaboration. I'm sure we'll get you in the studio once the big fights start coming in. You off to the Okolie Chamberlain fight in 02?
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. I mean, we've had both of them on the platform.
Yeah.
Got a decent rapport with both boxers. And, yeah, I think that's like a must. That's like an absolute guarantee.
So I'm going to be straight. I feel you on that because we, likewise, as you said, they've been on the platform, know them both. And they're both nice guys. None of them have been the type of guests where we can even say they've been arrogant, they've been calm. Obviously met them afterwards and they've actively greeted me. So it's kind of like, I don't know who the hell I'm going to pick. I'm absolutely going to sit on the fence for this fight. Yeah, I've got a few thoughts, but I don't know. I don't even seen Chamberlain's out there training with Usyk.
Yeah.
That's sharpening
He's not
knives.
playing around.
So
Who do you think wins, Dwayne?
To be honest, I'd literally... I mean, when you meet both boxers, it's hard to pick one because they're both nice guys. They're both... And even when you put that aside, there's an argument for why either could win. I mean, Okolie's got more amateur experience. Obviously, that adds to the foundation.
But Chamberlain's shown he's...
Pro.
Yeah, and he's
got more
gone
pro
through the
experience.
trenches a little bit. He's sat in trenches at least.
Exactly, with that fight in York Hall where his shoulder got dislocated, so he's shown under pressure he can thrive. You can't really write anybody off for different reasons, but I don't even have a boxer that I want to win.
Yeah.
In a way, it's good that they're going to fight, but in a way, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, what I will say, which has surprised me, one thing that's always struck me with Chamberlain, he's confident. He's always, every time I've seen a confident young man. And I'm not going to say he was meek, but I do feel at the press conference, if he looks back at that and says, what could I do better? I think his demeanour is something he could have worked on a little bit. I know that doesn't win you fights, but I felt that I don't know. Coley just seemed to dwarf him a little bit. Like he was sitting there like.
I'm gonna put out that I'm gonna be putting
Yeah.
big money on Coley for this fight.
Wow, there
I've
you go.
always thought Coley will win this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he will. I think he'll knock Chamberlain out.
So
if
I'll
I'm
be honest. I was in reverse. I always felt
Wow.
Chamberlain would win this fight, but I think now I'm not sure. To be honest.
I
if
think
you'd up-
Coley's the Anthony Joshua prospect
Yeah.
with Eddie Hearn. They want him to win. This
Yeah.
fight is engineered for him to win. They don't that's where the money is.
Yeah. That is.
And they're not going to have rushed him in if they
Yeah.
don't think he can win.
That's.
And you say Usyk,
Yeah.
Chamberlain's sparring Dubois and Joshua every week, whatever.
Well, I
I
mean,
think-
they've all sparred the same kind of guys. Chamberlain
Yeah.
sparred Wilder. He
But I
sparred
think if you
Joshua.
look at Cody's probably actually getting better sparring more regularly, even though you can't get any better in the cruiserweight division than Usyk.
He don't-
But I
that's what
think
I was gonna say, he
that's
don't-
2 training camps. That's sort of
Yeah, I don't know. It's,
It's,
arguable. It's
it's-
arguable.
there-
I mean,
it's
you see who
less
they're
often.
fighting. But like I said, for me, again, I can't. And that is the thing. Okay, I don't want to really pick it, but I have to say, I think I am torn because you make some great points. But for me, I think Chamberlain knows how to fight. He's a good talent. Where I think he will need to fight smart is the reach. Clearly, Coley's going to have the reach on him.
and
But
definitely the
Coley,
power.
I just don't, for Coley, he's also going to have that coming out. He's like a cub coming into the wilderness where he hasn't even been rocked. So what if
Yeah.
he does get rocked? That's where there's going to be slightly more questions that he needs to answer in this. I agree with you though. Matchroom wouldn't throw him in there, but ultimately I think Matchroom don't give a fuck anymore because I do
No,
think
because he's
competition.
Remember, he's with Anthony Joshua, and obviously Anthony Joshua, but he's in control.
He's just the
he's
manager.
in control right now.
Yeah,
though.
he's the manager, but I don't think I don't think who's going to promote him in the same way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Matchroom, I
see-
think still hold the cards.
See,
and
I think the biggest
Joshua
difference
holds his own destiny
for
more
Cody and Chamberlain is the
than
power.
Coley. Yeah,
For the power is, I think Cody's a
You think-
much more
You think he's
powerful
got the power,
puncher.
yeah. And that's a fair
compared to
point
Chamberlain.
because I mean, obviously, it was
Chamberlain's
just
a
the way,
boxer, but the
yeah.
power, I think he'll grind him down.
Yeah. So you know what? We've even hijacked your call, Dwayne. So what do you?
No, cool, man.
This is what we love. But
I love being a part of the conversation.
that's what I mean. So what's your thoughts though?
Yeah, I think like you guys said, really. I think, like I said, you can put a good argument for why Eva can win. Like you said as well, Kojo, we haven't seen how a Coley will react if he gets put under pressure. I mean, we saw, like with AJ, for example, that question was answered against Klitschko, but prior to that, the same question hung over AJ's head. If he gets hit hard, how would he react? So, boy, I think that's really what will...
I think we've lost him.
Oh, mate.
I think we've
Yes,
lost Dwayne.
Yeah, we lost
but
Dwayne.
Let's look ahead to 2018.
Yeah, keep.
Let's look ahead to what fighters we think we're going to look out for most in 2018,
Who are you
which is
looking
going to
forward
be
to?
the breakout year.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I think the big year here is for Josh Taylor in the UK. I think Josh Taylor's the biggest prospect who can make a statement in 2018. He's had that sort of break into world level fight, and I think he's definitely going to get a world title shot in 2018. I think Anthony Yard is a big year for him. 2018. It's going to be. There has to be a bigger fight for Anthony Yard. Whether that's against Frank Buglioni, I hope it is. I think he's a big favourite in that fight. I think he could potentially have trouble with Jose Burden. I don't think we'll see that fight. And then on world level, I think it's the year for Usyk to sort of become a household name because in my eyes, he'll probably go on to win that World Boxing Super Series. And then what's left for him will be the undisputed champion. I guess he could fight Lebedev for that super belt if he wants it, and then maybe we'll see him at heavyweight. And Usyk, maybe he doesn't have the size at heavyweight, but he certainly will be probably the most skilled heavyweight in the division. And then I think, what's his name? Gavodzik in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah.
The Ukrainian in the light heavyweight
yeah,
division.
yeah.
I think it's going to be a big year for him. I think he's facing Sullivan Barrera. No, he's not. No, he's facing Elida Alvarez, who was the mandatory who stepped aside for Adonis Stevenson. I think he'll probably win that fight, and Elida Alvarez is good opposition, and then be mandatory for the WBC title.
I mean, they're talking about obviously the big fight that we haven't brought up is the Eubank Groves. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's a very close fight. It's going to be the biggest. It's certainly the biggest fight. I think that's bigger than Hey Bellew. I mean, it's a huge fight. Groves against Eubank.
Oh, yeah.
huge. I think the hype, the sort of build up. I mean, I know it's not going to be on Sky, so we're not going to have gloves are off. But imagine that sort of a face off, a 20-minute talk with Eubank and Groves. That would be, that would be so entertaining.
They'll definitely mimic that though.
And then I know we've discussed this before. I think Eubank will probably win. He's the younger fighter, the fresher fighter, and I think he's going to be the improving fighter. And in my eyes, I think Groves is a declining fighter. I know some people say he performed well in that Cox fight, but I still think that Cox troubled him, possibly buzzed him early in that fight. And I think if Groves gets stuck on the ropes sometimes, and if Eubank gets him stuck on the ropes and unloads quickly, I think he'll grind him down.
Yeah, I have to say that's a big fight. And again, I do look at Groves in this, and I think he's got a chance. I know most people.
Yeah, he's definitely got a chance. I mean, to me, it's like 55, maybe 60-40 Eubank for me.
Yeah, but with the Eubank thing, for me, I think if Groves has to follow his game plan, as long as he doesn't forget his game plan, which I feel he usually does, which makes him lose his stamina.
Yeah, he did in the Cox fight.
He's done that in the Jack fight. I mean, even the Chudinov fight where he won, he does it. He just brawls out.
Yeah, he was slugging out with Chudinov, and Chudinov is not at a level of a Chris Eubank.
Yeah, I mean, but saying that though, I think he probably had the potential, not the potential, but he had the reputation. But again, he didn't deliver. Eubank's reputation, would you say that it's only been enhanced in the last 6 months? I would say yes.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously he had that bad loss to Saunders. But then you think about that loss to Saunders, I mean, he did dominate the second half of the fight.
Yeah.
It was just too little too late, but he did dominate the second half of the fight.
So now we're going to welcome our guest, first guest of the year, real privilege, a man that's got at least maybe 30 plus, 20 plus years in the world of boxing, 30 world title fights, supporting one of the ultimately pound-for-pound boxers in the world. A man who has now started up his own label, is the CEO of Affiliation Management, that has fighters like Ashley Theophane, one of our friends of the show. We know about Andrew Tabiti, who scored a great knockout last year, and also the English prospect, Sandra Marshall. Savannah Marshall, there you go. Apologies. Who also featured on the Mayweather-McGregor card. So real honour to have him on the line today. So we're just going to hope we transfer smoothly. So hello, Dewan.
Hello, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
Everybody?
I'm doing. How are you?
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Not a problem. Thanks for being on the show. It's a real privilege to have someone like yourself from the world of boxing. Obviously, you just touched down on a flight on the way to a press conference, so thanks for the time. Who's fighting this weekend that we need to look out for?
It's actually February 17th. I don't know what day it may be on your guys' end, but they had the fight between Brandon Rios and Danny Garcia.
Yep.
But we have Ronald Graville on the undercard versus the rematch with David Benavidez.
Nice.
That was a good fight first time around.
Yeah, it was. As we speak.
That was
a great fight.
Exactly. So I'm here with my co-host Tom. Tom's part of the team as well. So
it's nice to meet you. Nice to speak to you.
What's going on, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for giving us some of your time.
So listen, Desjuan, I think it's fair to say you're like similar to Sam Watson. You're a face in terms of, for us UK fans, in terms of seeing you present at the big fights. We know you're part of the money team coaching, but I think it would be really good for us to just know, how you got into boxing. Were you ever a fighter? Were you ever tempted to be a fighter?
Never, just did it in the streets as far as growing up in the Bronx. But just family business. Floyd's my cousin, so working side by side with him for so long in the fight game, I was able to capitalize on my position and go off and start my own movement as far as the Affiliation Management brand. So that's basically in a nutshell how it really started. So, just being around the fighters, meeting all the different fighters from the world old. So while building up relationships with people like them, and that's how it started basically.
So you mentioned your brand Affiliation Management. What's the future, or what's the vision for the company?
Future's bright. Just trying to take it to the next level. A lot of the guys that we do have, they are looked upon as not necessarily underneath some of the top guys, but they tend to be overlooked. So I just look at it as going out getting the next best thing that, in my eyes, that I may see, or in the company's eyes, which is Mayweather Promotions that I normally take them to, and we're just trying to take it to the next height. So we have Ronald Gravel right now, getting ready to fight for the world title February 17th. So we moving.
Yeah. And obviously, I was at the fight for Ashley Theophane, so you're definitely moving because that was a world title fight.
Right.
Obviously, Ishe Smith is obviously he's got a long history. He's well known over here as well. So talk to us about some of the guys that are coming through. We'll go back to Gavril, but talk to us about some of the guys on your team that you see have real potential.
Well, I tend to say that everyone has potential. Everyone has. In this fight game, it's a God-given talent. So God is able to give you the opportunity to be in there and lace up some gloves, so everyone has a chance. But as the future, we got a stable is deep. We have Dylan Price. He's fighting on the undercard of Errol Spence and Peterson card. And that is January 20th in Brooklyn at the Barclays. So we got some good young kids coming up. We have Juan Rauder, like we said. We have Ashley Theophane out in the UK, Savannah Marshall in the UK. We're just out here trying to make a buzz.
Yeah, and you mentioned how you've got a couple fighters in the UK. Do you have plans to promote fights outside of the US?
Man, God willing, I hope so. Because to me, the UK fans is the top dogs right now. You guys reign supreme right now. So I would love to come out there and be able to have a show in the UK. The fans is superb. They come out in masses, and that's what I love about the UK fans. They support the movement. They support the boxing culture more than so the US fans. I hate to say, but yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, Duane, we obviously
we hope to come out there soon.
Yeah, I mean, we met at the Mayweather-McGregor presser in London. I mean, was that what did you take away from that, just for a press conference and having an arena filled out and the noise and the atmosphere and the vibe?
Man, that shit is amazing. It's like a rock star when you come out there, boy. Just how they embrace boxing. That shit is crazy. Like, even with Anthony Joshua, I love watching Anthony Joshua fight. The Anthony Joshua, the Tyson Fury, when they get in that ring, man, that crowd go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like it. So I can't wait for that day.
And I think you mentioned the right thing. Obviously, you're working with Theophane, but I do think there's a good opportunity for, US fighters to come over to the UK and fight. And as long as you've got the talent, the fans appreciate you. Sean Porter has been a guest of the show. He's somebody that he came to the UK and he got a lot of love. And, I think, he definitely wants to fight out here. So, we look forward to welcoming you over here for some fights. So
how normally the UK fans used to want to come to the United States, but it's the opposite now. Now the United States fans want to go over to the UK because they see the movement that you guys have out there now.
Nice.
I'd still be up for a trip to Vegas.
I was going to say, I don't think there's any way we have in the UK that can trump Vegas, but we'll do our best. We'll do our best, Duane.
Yeah.
So, Duane, I know recently you were in... Sorry, carry on. I was just going to say, Duane, we know you were in Asia recently. How did that movement come about? That's showing you're taking your brand globally, as well as working with the TMT team. But I mean, in terms of shaking hands, networking, how good does that feel that your journey, you're a young man from Bronx and you're now sitting somewhere in Shanghai getting ready to go down the Yangtze River?
Oh man, it's dope just to have the opportunity because coming from where I'm coming from, you just don't see no type of shit like that. So it's amazing, man. It's a blessing from the man above. So I just take it and try to take advantage of every situation that presents itself to me. And I roll with the punches and make shit happen.
Yeah, and I think you definitely got some experience in doing that. I mean, talking about
they just like the fans in Asia. They're more or less like the UK fans, but they're more quiet. When they come out in masses. So just to know that they have 3 billion people in their country, that tells a lot.
Exactly. And you mentioned Anthony Joshua.
You had to check your pockets for Leonard, man.
I'm listening to you. I hear you.
Yeah, love that. That's how we do our show, Raw. There's why you can still hear us.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, no. So I was saying, 2017 there was a lot of fights. I was going to say, which fighter impressed you the most, whether it be UK or US or international?
Happy New Year. You said which fans?
Which fighter impressed you in 2017?
In 2017?
Yeah.
Man, the Ripper, Badu Jack.
Yeah.
Badu Jack.
Nice.
You know, his back is always against the wall. Like he tends to, and I'm not just saying that because he's with the Money Team roster. Just his back is always against the wall, and his back is always against the wall, and he come out there and perform, whether it's against an opponent that's supposed to be a lot better suited, more skills than he may have, but he still go out there and he performs and he puts on the show on a big stage. You know, so you know it's a lot of good performances. Now, when you say overseas, over there, I would say my boy, what's the heavyweight name? What's his name?
Joshua.
My man, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
The way he got up off that canvas when he got dropped by Klitschko, that showed the true warrior in him.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be the new superstar in world boxing? Do you think Anthony Joshua will sort of take over as the biggest superstar in boxing?
Well, we will never know until he fight Deontay Wilder.
Who are you picking in that fight? You siding with Wilder?
See, I never saw Wilder get hit with a nice punch before and get up off the canvas. We saw Anthony Joshua get hit by a good punch and get off the canvas. So until we see that type of fight out of Deontay Wilder, then I would be better suited to be able to determine if he'll be able to go. But as of right now, I'm going to have to go with Anthony Joshua because how his movement is good. He has a fan base. And, you know, when you got them people on your back, how he has his country on his back, you know, he tend to go out there and he's fighting for his country. Not saying Deontay Wilder's not, but they just the movement. He has that extra battery in his back. So he had that extra killer instinct in him. So, you know, I'll judge it off of that.
Nice. No, that's good. So obviously you've been in boxing for, you know, like we're saying 20 years, 30 plus world fights, obviously working.
I wouldn't say 20 years. I've just been around the fight game for a long time. I've been through a lot of world title fights with Floyd, helped him get ready for most of all his fights. So yeah, maybe like 15 years.
Okay.
Damn near 20 years. You can put the extra on it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, we'll talk about we'll add the amateurs to it. So, but no, on a serious note, I mean, what have you learned from your experience? I mean, you know, you're just talking about coming up for all types of different fights that Mayweather's had. Yeah, what have you learned the most?
See, now when I was before I started the management, it was more or less me knowing what it took for a person to become champion, what type of work ethic a person would have to have. But now it's more or less I'm on the business side now, so now it's more like I'm learning more about the paperwork, the logistics of it, you know, more of the marketing aspect of it. So it's like I graduated from just scouting talent now to making talent, I would say, or being able to just find the talent and do something with the talent. More it was just less me just finding talent, but now it's more than me finding the talent now. Now it's more of me trying to build talent per se, just finding the talent.
You mentioned that you've been with.
Way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's great.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've been with Floyd for most of his fight camps. What's it like, sort of? Obviously, you know, there's such a spotlight on him the whole time. What's it like, sort of, always being there in that spotlight yourself, dealing with all the hype that comes with it in leading up to a fight of his?
Man, it's crazy. He said that this was gonna happen, and he was a man of his word. So just for him, just to be around him all these years, and to see the confidence that he's had throughout his 20-plus year career, it just tells you, or it shows us that anything is possible. So, yeah, that's what it is. Hard work and dedication. It pays off.
Definitely, it's a slogan that we know very well over in the UK. So speaking of dreams paying off, you recently signed Savannah Marshall last year. She's working with the team. I mean, what's your expectation? What does 2018 look like for her? But also, how did you find her? How did you discover her as a fighter?
I found her by a gentleman, actually a friend of mine out here in America, which is my man at One Shot. That's on his Instagram. But it's he had a guy by the name of Sam Jones, who's actually around with
Joy Joyce. Yep.
He's working in Joy Joyce's corner with Haymaker.
Yep.
And he's reached out to us through social media, and we just happened to answer through the social media stream. And I did my little research on Savannah Marshall and thought she would be a good story to tell, being that she is the only young lady to beat Claressa Shields in the amateur rankings as her quest of getting gold. Well, actually, the only reason why she received gold, why she was able to go on and fight for gold, was because Savannah Marshall ended up beating a girl that was one of the top girls. And if she didn't beat her, then Claressa would have not went to fight for the gold. But if she did beat her, Claressa was able to go on and continue her path towards the goal. So,
and is the end goal for Savannah Marshall? Is the end goal for her to have a sort of blockbuster? Is the end goal for Savannah to have a rematch, a blockbuster fight with Claressa?
Oh, everything has a story to tell. That'll be the only story to tell pertaining to Claressa Shields' story right now within her pro ranks. Because think about it, there is no story to tell. Sad to say. But in order for us to build a story, like once again, I'm gonna go back to what I said. Now I'm not into just looking for the talent. Now I'm into building the talent. So we have a story to build, being that she was able to successfully beat Claressa Shields.
Nice. No, that's good, and I think that's an important thing. You see that now, and and that's in terms of the promotion. Is that something that in the UK, you have guys like Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, they try to focus on that with a fighter and talk about the story, let the public get a bit more up close and personal with the fighter. So is that something you've learned from Matchroom as well, or that you might, how do you look at Matchroom and see how they promote fighters?
There's what you call matchmakers in the sports, in the boxing business. Some been around for a while, some are new to the game, but the guys that have been around for a while, I was able to have an opportunity to be around them and communicate with them, and they lay down the blueprint of this boxing game. Everything, there's always a story to tell. So matchmakers plays a major part. And for all the fans out there, just know that these matchmakers that they have out there, not the promoters, but the matchmakers, they play an intricate part into the success of all fighters out there today.
Interesting.
And do the TV networks have a lot of control in the matchmaking, or is that?
Yeah, also, of course, the TV networks, if they request to see a particular fight, but in order for you to build a person's life story pertaining to boxing, you have to have a great matchmaker to match a fighter accordingly, so there will be a story to tell.
And one match that we think that's going to be coming up soon is Badou Jack against Adonis Stevenson. Can we expect to see that in 2018?
Hell of a fight. Yeah, definitely. Hell of a fight. Sometime soon.
Do you think
fight.
It's too late for Adonis Stevenson now, or do you think that he's still a live opponent for, Badou's obviously a great fighter. Do you think that Stevenson's still got a good chance, or would you strongly favour your man?
I'm going to go back to what I said in the beginning, man. God gives people certain talents. When you give a man a certain talent to go in that ring, you can never count him out. It could be his lucky day, or it could be the other guy's day. So I ain't gonna never count nobody out. You saw what happened to James DeGale.
Yeah, very good point. And speaking of UK fights, we've got a big sort of British clash happening early February. Two guys in the cruiserweight division, Lawrence Okoli, who's a Team GB Olympian for in Rio, and a guy called Isaac
That's a big
Chamberlain.
boy. That's a black kid, right?
Yeah, the two black guys,
Tall
exactly.
guy, right? Isn't he pretty tall?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
He signed to Anthony Joshua. I mean, I think you've got a cruiserweight, which I would say is a good prospect to BT. You thinking about coming over to the UK and attending that fight, get a bit of exposure?
Nah, we don't need the exposure. We already got all the exposure here in America. You won't be talking about them right now. So I don't think we need to come over there for us to get the exposure. But yeah, you know, they got a little bit of work to do. Soon come, as you would say.
Yeah.
That'll happen one day. But I don't know. We don't really know who they are over here. But
Yeah.
we're moving on to bigger and better things. If the situation comes to us down the line and his name start to buzz like how Andy Tabiti name is, then make a rock and roll.
Mm.
Obviously, most of the cruiserweight division's actually tied up at the moment in the World Boxing Super Series. I don't know if that's sort of making a big splash in America, but it's become really huge, especially in Britain. It's really taking off with the sort of George Groves, Chris Eubank fight. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so on a Chris Eubank and who? George Groves?
No, on the World Boxing Super Series.
It's just taking so long, but you know they making some money. As long as they're making the money, they're making big dollars. So they're making them big dollars, but you know you have to stick around and wait until I think May it was until the series is over. But you know Tabiti, he's getting ready to fight the mandatory for the IBF. Next fight, God willing, he get past that fight, he'll be fighting for the world title. So we're just waiting in line, waiting patiently.
Nice.
Who do you think will come out on top of that cruiserweight tournament? Do you think Usyk's the favourite, or?
Yeah, man, it's a toss-up out there, man. You know, when you're going on all those flying, I don't know where's the finals at? Is it here in the U.S. or is it overseas?
I think they actually said it might be in the Middle East. It might be somewhere like Dubai or Saudi Arabia for the cruiserweight
this
final.
part of the world. I don't think it is.
Yeah, so you never know that could play a major part with all this type of stuff. The training, the flying, you know, all that stuff. You know, so you'll never know in this game when you're doing all that traveling and you know, ready for these fights. You know, it's actually a show at the end of the day. It's a boxing match, but they making it into a escapade, I would say.
Yeah.
So everyone's, you know, looking forward to it. So it's a lot of hype around it.
Definitely. So listen, Dewan, we're gonna let you go. But thank you. We really appreciate your time. Before you go, I'm just gonna ask. What one of the things we do is, especially for some of the young amateur fighters that are listening, we ask our guests to give a bit of experience or give some advice to young fighters listening. So would you do the honors, please, and give some advice to some of our young fighters?
Yeah, just work hard. You know, I don't know if not everyone may have a mother or father. Respect your mother and your father, you know, and the rest don't play its part. You know, stay prayed up and stay committed to your success and to whatever you're trying to accomplish. And one day, somewhere down the line, it's going to prevail. It may not come quicker than what you guys wanted to come. So be patient. The key to this game is being patient. Always stay patient. Success will come.
Yeah. No, thank you very much.
And I think that's the key.
No, that's perfect. And in terms of social media, where can the fans follow you? Do you want to shout out your Instagram, Twitter, or?
You can follow me My personal account is at Dewan Blake. That's DEJUAN, last name Blake. Or you can have my company account is at Affiliation Management. That's at AFFILIATION Affiliation Management.
Perfect.
Or you can have my Facebook, Dewan Blake.
Perfect.
Yeah, or Affiliation Management on Facebook.
And we'll be sure to share those details as well when we post the show. So thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to working more with you in the future in 2018.
Yeah, thanks, Dewan. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I appreciate Rap TV. Hope to come back on again, baby. Thank you.
Definitely.
Cheers, take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye. So that was a good interview. So guys, appreciate you guys being patient on the line. We're going to open up the lines now. So again, just give us your thoughts, what you think about boxing, what you're looking forward to in 2018, and what you've enjoyed in 2017.
Michelangelo Serra, how you doing?
How you doing, Michael? Michael, it's a drive-by, so we need your thoughts on 2017 or 2018, mate.
Yeah, well, you know, you've got some emerging stars coming through, you know, and obviously the next big fight's March 31st.
Yep.
Joshua versus Parker. It's almost as good as done.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be a terrific fight. I mean, Parker's got the puncher's chance, but you know, that's going to be some spectacle. Also, obviously, the biggest one of the year at that weight in the heavyweights is obviously Wilder versus the winner of that.
Yep.
And obviously, whoever comes out on top of those after those two fights will we would have created history, becoming the first heavyweight champ to hold all 4 belts simultaneously.
Exactly. So that's definitely something to look for.
The only man who's actually won all the versions of the title, but at different times, is Riddick Bowe. He won the WBO, and also he won, obviously, the Unified against Holyfield.
No, exactly. And so, Michael, quick one. I know you're doing your show now, so for guys who are listening to the show, you want a bit more history, Michael will be doing a 30-minute show talking about the history of boxing. I believe it'll be on every Tuesday. Michael, because we're doing a drive-by, post it in our Facebook page, and we'll be sure to make sure to continue to share it.
Just quick, it's called Michelangelo's Boxing Canvas, and it covers mostly current day, but also it is more historically based. Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm having trouble uploading it, but
thank you very much. All right, take care. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye bye. Moving on to 490. 490. The floor is yours. Happy New Year. Hello.
Yes, Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
How you doing? Who's calling, please?
What do you mean who's calling? You should know this, cuz. Ed.
Oh, what's going on, Ed? Yes, long time. It's been. Welcome back.
Oh.
How you been, though? Good. Happy New Year.
All good. Happy New Year to you guys, man. Keep doing the good work and all that.
Perfect.
For me, 2017 was all about the heavyweights, and the best fight was obviously Joshua and Klitschko. Absolutely amazing fight, and that had all the everyone talks about for many months and stuff. That had everything, and I'm hoping for more of the same. I think Wilder needs to come through and fight my man at some point to kind of complete that kind of circle in the heavyweight division, and we need that kind of classic finish, because it's been missing for a while. I mean, Tyson Fury, for me, just give it up. You're overweight, too many pies. Get it. Do you know what I mean? And he's actually a disgrace to boxing in that element. I'm not impressed by his tactics, his words, his mouth, and ultimately he's way out of shape. I think let the man Joshua deal with him in some shape or form, but not give him the money fight, because that would be a big overrated performance.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to more of the big heavyweights coming through, and taking it from there.
Perfect. Appreciate you calling in. Definitely hoping that we see some of those big fights that you've mentioned within the heavyweight scene this year. So all the best, and don't be a stranger.
Nah, mate. Listen, you know how
I know it goes.
You called me tonight, and I thought, let me listen in, and that was a fantastic kind of overview of, from Mayweather's guy.
Yeah.
Just to hear the backdrop behind how that successful team has been successful for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been good to have heard about the mindset of the team, and how they prepare a fighter's mind to be consistently on point for that length of time, minimizing distraction of the success and the money that comes with it, and how they condition a fighter's mind to be consistently wanting to be at the peak of their performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we want people to call in. So that kind of feedback, bro, is definitely. You heard him. He's going to be back on the show. I think we're going to try to do a lot of work with them this year, from speaking with the team. Yeah. So again, if he's back on the platform, that'll be a question, or maybe that's something we do with him. We definitely got all ideas welcome. It's 2018.
All good.
Perfect. Take care. Yep. Take care. Chits. Bye bye. 898 coming out to you. 898. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Hey, happy New Year, Raps on TV. It's Shem here. How you doing?
How you doing, Shem? We're doing well. Happy New Year, man. Long time again. That's what we like to see.
Yeah.
How you been?
New Year, fresh start. I'm good, thanks. Not too bad.
Appreciate that. What's on your mind, world of boxing? What did you enjoy? What are you looking forward to?
Great. There was a lot of great fights. And 2018, I mean, the Groves Eubank fight is going to be big.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think AJ is going to obviously, I think he's going to deal with Parker, and then, that's going to set up hopefully the Wilder fight, which is going to be huge. Hayes going to fight Bellew hopefully again. I think there's some big fights to come, and it's definitely going to be an interesting year. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, no.
Who's the stars? Do you think someone who it might be a breakout year for them in 2018?
Like a dark horse.
Who do I think the stars are going to be?
Who's going to break out and sort of step into the limelight this year?
Or could be like a dark horse, someone that.
It's hard to tell. I mean, it depends what division. I think, like, you know, the heavyweight's been the big division or the main focus for 2017. I think that's still going to dominate 2018. We've got the players already in that division. You know, we'll see what happens with the others, but it's interesting. I think what's happening now is that we're getting the fights that we want finally. So, you know, I think we will see the Wilder fight and the AJ fight, and we will see, you know, like we're seeing the Groves and Eubank fight. We're getting to see the fights that the fans want to see, and I think that's what people want to see. People want to pay money and see, and that's good for boxing.
Yeah, exactly. No, so listen, appreciate your time calling in, Shem. I think you're right. The heavyweight scene, I think we're starting to see there's a lot of interest for that, and I think 2018 is the year that it should kick off. So, no, appreciate your time for calling in, mate.
No problem. Right. No problems. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye-bye. So we're going out to 269. 269. Hello. You know when you always do that slow dusting of the cobwebs. Yes. How you doing? You all right?
Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. Like Jason, we haven't heard from you. Good to hear from you as well.
It's been a while.
Don't worry.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Exactly.
It does. Oh, like the last two guys that called in, Eddie, Shem. Yeah, like everyone's saying heavyweights, but I'm really looking forward to the middleweights. To be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like honestly, fucking hell, I'm not even a fan. Well, I wasn't a fan, but now I am. But Billy Joe Saunders.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think he's gonna do some good things this year. I think he's gonna shine.
Yeah.
The way how his last fight.
How he ended it, isn't it?
I personally feel. I personally feel it could take off.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it interesting how like time just changed? Like one fight just changes everything because you know, equally you could look at someone like Rigondeaux and his one fight with Lomachenko and he's like in the mud. Nobody wants to talk about him or look at him. And Billy Jones had the reverse. I mean, there's memes with Billy Joe Saunders. I think the people requesting interviews.
Looking into the crowd,
Yeah, I mean, it's
a highlight moment.
It is, and I think he's really got a lot of potential he could fulfill in 2018.
Yes, I mean, in all honesty as well, it kind of reminds me of like Tyson Fury. I mean, you know, in the past, people were knocking Tyson Fury. No one thought he would have beat Klitschko, and he did. And I just feel like Billy Joe Saunders is going to do the same thing, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point.
However, it is. However, I'm a big fan of Chris Eubank Jr. I can't wait. That's my biggest fan.
I think we're all looking forward to that.
Groves. Yeah.
So, Kojo, whilst we're sorting out that problem, let's talk about the fights that we're most looking forward to in 2018.
Okay. What am I looking forward to? All right, I'm going to say it. Not like really it's the hype, but I want to see it is the Wilder Ortiz because for me, you know, I think Wilder gets
we know how you feel about Wilder.
I do, but I'm a big fan.
Tingly,
that's what I'm saying, exactly. Like, I won't even start. I won't even warm up. But for me, I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I think people take headlines and run with it, and I think you've got to break down fighters like Rare, and you've also got to do like comparisons at the right time. But I will say this: I've always felt that fight is a 50-50 between him and Joshua. So yeah, I think him fighting Ortiz. If he goes in and demolishes Ortiz in the right way, then I think you can't argue and say, well, actually, he's doing things the way a heavyweight should.
Yeah. It's definitely a step up, but Ortiz is older. I mean,
I know, but
there's a danger he's past, but there's no one else for him to face anyway. So there was no choice.
Exactly.
So I'm not a massive fan of. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan, but I'm not like pro Wilder. I don't. I'll stick to my British boxers. I'm an anti-Joshua fan
as well, but I'm a fan of the sport.
But I think Wilder deals with Ortiz easily. I think he'll knock him out early, mid-rounds maybe.
Yeah.
And then it sets it up, doesn't it? But the thing I'm worried about is if David Haye beats Tony Bellew, I'm worried that we'll see a Joshua Haye fight.
I don't think that fight's going to happen because I also think Fury's going to get into fit, I think we could actually see Joshua Fury by the end of this
Yeah.
year.
Well, I
What's
saw
your
a thing today. Fury's lost 4 stone, and I mean, he still looks so out of shape. I think.
So we're gonna try again. Try the lines. Hello, 307.
Yes, guys. How you doing?
How are we doing? You
Nicholas
right?
here.
Thank you. So just Nicholas, while we're there, for the guys that were on the line, stay on the line. We'll get back to you. But how you doing, bro?
I'm all right, bro. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. What was your big things, big fights, big events 2017 and 2017, and what are you looking forward to next year?
I mean, obviously there was a lot of good events in that 2017, really, But obviously the standout events. So you had the World Kovalev, which was just
we haven't mentioned that.
Great fight. Yeah, great fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was also the Canelo Triple G.
Yeah.
Which was a big fight. I can't wait for the rematch for that. I don't know why they're taking so long because I hope it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I will really, really be gutted if they were to come to say, you know what, because of not agreeing for the paperwork for whatever reason, and they were to not make that fight happen. That would be really, really, really be bad for the
It's
sport,
suspicious why it's taking so long now.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
It is suspicious.
I do think one thing. I think they were delaying it, but I actually think Billy Joe's performance might have even might even upset it in terms of Golovkin might say, actually, forget Canelo. I'll go for Billy Joe Saunders, and then I really have all the belts.
But he said all the belt stuff before, didn't he? But when that Canelo chance, I mean, at the end of the day, he's had such a long career of not getting the recognition. He needs to leave the sport with the big money, and he's finally going to get it.
And that's the only thing that could happen. But I think the longer they take, it only favors Canelo in my mind.
Definitely.
And I think they know
I
that.
think that's why Canelo's sort of dragging it out.
You don't think there was... Yeah, but you don't think there was some type of clause that if there was like a draw, then they needed to make the rematch happen pretty quickly?
No,
so
I don't know, and I don't even know. I can't remember what the rematch clause was on that. To be honest, I don't even remember what that was. But because it was a draw, sometimes it makes it even more difficult to arrange because it's not one guy that's clearly lost and one guy that's pushing it the same. It's slightly different in a weird way because this is a draw. So I don't know.
Who did you have winning the first fight?
You know what? I mean, I felt that the draw was a fair result, right?
One of the few.
But if they would have given it to Triple G, I wouldn't have been too mad at it. Why? Because I believe that when you beat the champion, you need to beat him clearly.
Yeah.
When it's tight to call, a lot of time they get to favor the champion, and rightly so. You know what I mean? You can't have a close match for the champion. You need to we've seen it happen so many times over the years where you kind of think that, the other person almost beat the champion by a round or two, by a couple of points, but because it's the champion, if it's too close to call, people are going to favor the champion. So I'm not mad at the call, but I can understand some of the Triple G fans being a bit annoyed. But they were hurt. But I'm okay with the draw, to be fair. I felt that Canelo was winning the earlier rounds.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then Triple G came back later on. So I felt the draw was fair.
Perfect. And what are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, man. There's a few fights. I mean, obviously, everybody's talking about the Joshua.
Only because we've got a few.
I'm not going to talk about the Joshua and Wilder because that's just too obvious. It's too vague. Me, honestly, I'm looking at the welterweight division. I'm looking for Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman, if that could happen. Or even Errol Spence versus Porter. I think Errol Spence versus Porter could be a massive, massive fight.
Yeah, that's actually.
And there was rumors that Porter was supposed to fight Garcia, so who knows? But that
they
division
were about
to
to
me,
fight for the. Garcia's got a fight and that arranged already now. But yeah, that was supposed to be for a mandatory for one of the belts. I think it's the WBC, not even.
Okay, who's Garcia fighting?
Brandon
Rios. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed that one.
Yeah. So I mean, it's only. It's announced yesterday. The pressers today for it. So yeah, it's not surprising. But yeah, no, definitely. I think there's going to be a lot of options for next year. So look forward to talking about them with you in more detail, Nicholas.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So
listen,
yeah, man. So happy, I didn't say earlier, but happy New Year to you guys, man.
Yeah, and
keep up
to
the good
you.
work
And
for the
to
great
you.
show.
Thank you very much. Take it
All right,
easy.
guys.
All right, take care.
All right, take
Cheers.
care, lads.
Take it easy. All right, we're gonna go back out to Jason 269. Jason, you still there? Oh no. Okay. 455. We're going out to 455. Hello.
Hello, guys. Evening.
How you doing? Who's speaking?
Oh, it's Oliver calling from Dubai.
Yes, and Oliver calling from Dubai. Like that. How it's very cold over here, mate.
Cocktail in hand.
Yeah. Love it. How you doing?
Boys?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Very well. Good show, as always.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Good. Just a flyby from me about fights that I want to see in 2018. Obviously, AJ.
Yeah.
And AJ and anyone, really, but AJ and Wilder will be a good one because he's from London, fully invested in all his fights. So that'll be anything he does. I think he's reignited boxing properly, as opposed to, I guess, what Mayweather did.
Yeah.
So that would be fun. And then Groves and Eubank this year would be amazing to watch, I think. It'd be a good show.
Yeah.
Anything else is a bonus, I think.
Yeah. Who are you picking between Groves and Eubank?
Well, I 100% hope Eubank does it. Think Groves might have had his day, really, but you never know in boxing, as you boys know. So hopefully he does it, and he does it with a bit of style and class.
No, nice, good. So listen, thanks for calling in, Oliver. Listen, just try and call in a bit more. It'd be good to hear your opinions, good breakdown of what you're looking forward to seeing, and hopefully boxing delivers some of those fights to you.
Yeah, exactly. Keep up the good work, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Take
Oliver.
it easy. Cheers, thanks. Cheers. So going to our last one of the evening, 861. The floor is yours. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing? You well? Who's speaking?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Good.
So my name's Solo. I just wanted to call to show my support that I'm not really into boxing, but I've just started listening to your show, and just wanted to say, keep up the good work.
No, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
we
that.
appreciate
Yeah,
that,
keep listening, and hopefully you get more knowledge. You know, there's only a couple of us that really know what we're talking about, and
it doesn't include us.
And it doesn't include us. So hopefully one day you'll get a bit of knowledge.
Yeah. No, but I'm studying the game right now, and I've been getting a lot of info. I mean, I've only started listening to the show quite recently, and it's actually got me intrigued into boxing. I was always like a casual boxing fan, just listening to the big names, but it had gone quiet for a bit. But now I think you guys kind of sparked that interest. So thanks a lot, guys.
No, appreciate that. And is there anybody that you like watching or you keep an eye out for in terms of results? Don't worry if it's casual. It's an opinion. That's all that counts.
No, I hear that. For me, there are a few fights like your previous caller was saying. I think Wilder and Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit tasty.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Groves Eubank. That sounds a bit tasty as well.
Yeah. It's a free-course dinner.
Exactly.
So yeah. But no, we'll see. We'll see. I'm more of a UFC man, but boxing, it's kind of tickling my interest.
Okay, good. All good.
Tickle or become a huggle.
Yeah. we won't talk about that sport now. I'm joking, but listen, anything that gets people into combat sport and anything that kind of like shares the knowledge. I mean, we know there was a big crossover. So you mentioned you were a bit of a UFC fan. So I'll ask you this question: when you heard Mayweather McGregor was happening, did you be honest? Did you think Mayweather was gonna lose, or did you think McGregor was gonna get embarrassed?
I always thought McGregor was going to get embarrassed. The reality is it's two completely different disciplines, and I think with boxing it's more because it is a pugilist sport and it literally focuses on the art of hand combat. Then Mayweather was always going to be would always be trumps in that kind of combat. So McGregor never had a chance, but it is what it is.
No, exactly. It is what it is. And I think that's the ultimate fear. I think at least we can say realistically, you know, you got you got the logic to know that when you're going into one-man sport and you're facing somebody that is not average, you know, is more than average, it's going to be a very difficult night. But at the end of the day, they made a bag of money out of it, so I'm not worried about him, and I'm sure he's not worried about what we thought. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it was great entertainment. As we said, you know, one of our guests earlier today was the coach of Mayweather, and I actually met him at the press conference for that. And I'm telling you, I've never been to a press conference like that in my life. I swear to you, hands down. It was in Wembley Arena, and the whole place was packed. Mental. I mean, mental. So, like, whatever we say, it got a lot of criticism. It was never really going to be a huge boxing event, but at the same time, it was an event. And I think, yeah, we just give it its credits and leave it in 217. So, yeah. So, listen, Soda, thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in.
Cheers.
Okay. We appreciate that. And listen, yeah, hopefully you get some education from listening to us.
Definitely.
All right, take it easy.
Definitely.
Cheers.
All right, cheers. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so that's it. So the first show of the year, we're back. I think towards the end of last year, we had to kind of boxing there wasn't that many active fights, and everybody was busy. But I think this year it's gonna kick in soon. We've got Spence back with a bang. Spence versus Peterson. I know a lot of people might not be talking about that fight, but that's gonna be a good fight. You heard the one talk about the Gavril versus Benavidez. That was a good fight on the undercard of Garcia. We've also got Chamberlain and Coley. I think that's going to be a good fight.
And Groves Eubank as well. All in the first 2 months.
March
so
8.
a lot to look forward
to. March 3rd is Wilder Ortiz. So first 3 months, Joshua Parker we know is going to be a done deal. So outside of the boxing, I think one of the things we need to hope when we get more guests on the show is I'm going to talk to you slightly outside of boxing, is the Ohara Davies spectacle. What do you think about the treatment he's received recently?
I guess it's a tricky subject, isn't it? You need to think before you speak, as many people have said to Ohara. I think he was obviously wrong what he did. I think he probably did know. I think he probably did know about the Hillsborough situation. I think he probably is trying to play it off. I think that Tommy Coyle was a big supporter. Like, he was coming out damning the Sun for the Hillsborough treatment. I think Ohara knew what he was doing. I just don't think that he realised it would provoke such a reaction. But obviously it's a thing that's very personal, and you know, I like Ohara Davies. I've always liked Ohara Davies. I think he's an exciting fighter to watch. I think his style's good to watch. And I've seen a lot of his fights, and I hope he can come back. But I think they've made an example out of him. Whether that's fair, you know, he's obviously got the bad treatment. He's the one who's been made the example out of, but he can't really say that he didn't put himself in the position for that to happen.
Exactly. And I think, to be honest, Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head. I like Ohara. I think he's a talented fighter. I don't think he's the best in his class at all, but I think he's talented. I respect where he's come from as an individual. But I can't help but say, you know what, and I will say this to him, is like, I just feel that you're not moving wise, you know. And I've criticised Joshua, for example, of a lot of the things he does, and someone say, you know, he's too sponsorship focused. And I get it, it's money and brand orientated, but I think Ohara Davies needs to take like 20% of Joshua's mindset.
Yeah,
a lot of the troubles
he's the
he gets
complete
himself,
opposite end of the
utter
spectrum.
opposite. And I think 20% of that really helps change his focus. So I don't know if we're gonna get that. I'm gonna see what happens. I can see we've got one last caller. Jason's back, so let's see if we can get him on to close the show. Hello, Jason.
Hi guys, how you doing?
How you doing? Good. We'll get you back on. So you were saying how Billy Joe Saunders impressed you.
Yeah, he impressed me very, very much. So, you know, and I think he could beat Golovkin and Canelo. I might eat my words later on, but hopefully he'll fight one of them this year.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a question I was going to ask about, and it was the Ohara Davies situation. I mean, do you think so? His trainers dropped him, and Matchroom's dropped him as well.
They've dropped him from
anyone
the
else
fight.
to pick him up?
I don't think Matchroom have dropped him. I think his manager and his trainer have dropped him, but
yeah.
there's not. I don't think Matchroom have officially dropped him.
They've just dropped him from the card, so they could keep him. Do I see him working with Warren? I doubt it.
No, I don't think so. I think Hearn's not going to let him go because at the end of the day, people want to watch Hara Davis. There's only going to be more people who are intrigued about Hara Davis now.
So I mean, but whether he decides, so I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts on that situation, Jason? You think it was over the top, the reaction, or?
I mean, if whatever he said, if he did actually mean it, I think it was too much. I mean, certain times it's always good having a baddie in boxing, but that was just a bit way too far.
I'm not trying to use his name, but it was below the belt. It was below the belt. It was.
Yeah. It was indeed. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure another trainer will pick him up though. I mean, he is decent talent, so I'm sure.
It's odd because normally the trainer's the one who'll always stand by their fighter, so it's odd how the trainer and the manager straight away dropped him, and even Eddie Hearn, who obviously works very closely with the Sims, hasn't dropped him. It's sort of show there must be other stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
I mean, I think it depends. I mean, the right, I want to say right thing, the smart thing would be for someone like Joshua to try and take him under his wing and transform him, but has he got the time to do that?
He can't take that risk on his brand. I mean. He's got, he's perfect. He's crystal clear.
That's what I mean. He's trying to keep that. So I think it's not worth it. But I think that would be a good challenge. But again, he's got his own fighting career. So I don't know what's going to happen with Hara Davis. To be honest with you, I feel like there was a point where I was thinking, he's absolutely ruined his career here because there was so much backlash. I think he's tried to bring it round. He definitely's got his side of the story. I think we'll get him on the show to kind of talk about it. But I think
that would be good.
It's going to be tough for him. He's going to have to do a lot, which I think is just a change to what he's used to get back into the public. Yeah. So, and 2018.
First of all, sorry, biggest upset in 2017 was James DeGale losing.
Yeah.
But 2018. I'm going to go for Eubank having a very good year.
Yeah. Would you want to see a Eubank Saunders rematch if that was offered to you at the end of the year?
Definitely. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I watched the fight between them, and I feel that Chris Eubank has improved. But then again, the people that he's fought, has he actually really improved? That's what I'm not sure about. You can see that Billy Joe Saunders has improved.
This is it.
I think they've both improved.
So that would be a good deal.
And I think you're right. I think they've both improved, but I think off his last performance, we can only say that Billy Joe has improved more vastly. Do you see what I'm saying?
Although if they do fight now, Chris Eubank will probably be the bigger fighter as well.
That's the thing. So
I think inexperience played a big part in that.
100%
fight as well. And I think that if Eubank's to be successful in this fight with Groves, then he's going to learn a lot from that, and he could be a whole new threat.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if he actually boxes Groves as opposed to kind of just like battering him.
Yeah,
but it will be good.
I think he'll want to batter him. I don't think we'll see him not go for Groves properly at one point in the fight.
And he has to learn that against Saunders. So listen, Jace, we're going to leave you to it and make a move. But thanks for calling in. Happy New Year, and hopefully speak to you more throughout the year.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Cheers,
thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, no problem. Cheers. So that's it. We're gonna wrap it up for this evening. But obviously, so far there's been a lot of rumours. Fury's back in Marbella training, moving with Ben Davison. We know that Joshua is more than likely going to be fighting Parker on the 31st. There's strong rumours about Adrian Broner and Khan. So yeah, I think there's
a lot to look forward to.
There's a lot to look forward to, and you know what? There's also a lot more to look forward to when you think about the guys you're not speaking about. Andre Ward may be making a return.
You think? I hope not. I hope Ward doesn't make a return.
He's like Zidane for me. It's like you just want to see them fight more and more.
I think Ward's. We say that Joshua could be the fighter of the year just from that Klitschko fight. It's a controversial ending in that Kovalev fight, but come on, Ward was completely outclassing him. There was only ever going to be one conclusion to that fight,
and he even called it could be a stoppage.
Yeah,
and Kovalev
and Ward's, he's not known for being a knockout artist, and he came out, I thought I honestly did think that Ward just edged that fight. I remember staying up. Staying up to whatever it was, so I probably was a little bit wasn't on top form looking at the judging, but it wasn't impressive. But that second half of that fight, he was just nicking all the rounds. Exactly. It wasn't impressive. He wasn't dominating, but he was nicking the rounds, and that's enough That's enough, isn't it?
Exactly. And in the second fight, it was conclusive. So I think that was a great shout to bring that back up. And there's a lot of guys to look forward to. So, Brook, the return of Brook, what do we see from him? I know this is going to be a gimme fight, but again...
It could be a bit like a sort of Frampton, it could be like a De Gale coming back. I don't think Brook's a damaged fighter, isn't he? So you never know. I would not bet on Brook, I tell you.
So
he can't be trusted.
And I'm not a betting man, but that's going to be your target for the year. So listen, guys, we're going to be out. But thank you again for all the support, all the listening, all the calls. You already know where to follow us. Raps on TV on social media, which is your Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Raps on TV, YouTube, plus the website. All of that. Come on.
Cheers,
Tom,
guys. See you next week.
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab. Eats a right.